Hello, I'm Dr. Greg Winteregg, CEO of the Private Dentist Alliance. I want to talk to all of you students out there today who are wondering what your future is going to be like as a career in dentistry. As an assistant, as a hygienist, as a dentist, where is this profession going with the rapid increase of the DSO movement? I'm here to tell you that PDA is going to help you, and I want you to become a member today. It is free. Now, why should you become a member? You're going to get weekly video updates from me, and you're going to get regular updates of our newsletters from the Alliance on exactly what is happening and how we are going to help preserve and protect the private practice of dentistry. Now, to me, the most important advantage is you are going to get access to our job board. What is that? Our private practicing members all have access to our PDA job board, which means if they have an opening in their private practice of assistant, hygienist, doctor, front office staff, they're going to be able to post it. And you're going to be able to check up regularly. And as our membership grows, we're going to be covering larger and larger territories across the United States. If you are looking for a job in any position in the office of a private practice, you need to become a student member today. It is free. Go to www.privatedental.org and become a student member today. You're going to love your benefits. Do it now.
All right, guys, it's your boy Matt Havis back at it again with the Dental Student Vibes podcast, and today we have a very special interview for you. We have Dr. Joe Maio. He is a retired dentist from Utah. He had 8 successful practices in a DDSO type model, and he just sold them recently in 2019, and he sits down with us today to discuss all things management of multi-practices, how to run them effectively, the type of systems you need to put into place, and all things business that you need to be successful as a dentist to be the top 1%. So you really don't want to miss this. Tune in. You're going to love the episode. We had a great time talking to him. We hope to have him on soon. And as always, follow us on Instagram at dental.student.vibes and give us a like, comment, review. Let us know what you think. We love to hear your feedback. As always, stay safe and vibe on.
We have Dr. Joe Maio with us tonight, all the way from Utah. Dr. Joe, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for letting me join the party there. It looks like you guys are having a great time there.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
We're living it up here. We're one day at a time here in Florida, but just so you all know, let's give a little introduction to Dr. Maio. So, Dr. Maio, after proudly serving in the United States Air Force for 8 years, Dr. Joe Maio was the CEO and owner of the fastest growing dental organization in the state of Utah for 9 consecutive years. He built his dental empire from 6 employees to over 100 across 8 dental practices prior to exiting the dental industry in the year of 2019. He has utilized his entrepreneurial mindset to develop over 14 companies across the medical, real estate, financing, and management industries. Dr. Maio, that's fantastic. How do you do it all? Honestly.
Well, other than luck, and great people. No, I mean, I had a great experience doing the whole thing, and had some amazing people along the way. Had some amazing mentors. It's funny is I never thought that I was ever going to be a dentist. I was actually dating my dentist's daughter at the time. I was thinking of physical therapy school is what I was thinking about going into. And then he told me, he's like, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you go be a dentist? And I was like, that's disgusting. I don't want to put my hands in anybody's mouth. Why would I want to do that? And he, luckily he talked me into it. And, I always enjoyed working with my hands and working with people. And so, I went to dental school. I went to Creighton University 2001 through 2005. It was a great experience. And 9/11 actually happened my freshman year of dental school. Some of you guys, how old were you guys when 9/11 happened?
Oh man, I think I was in like 5th grade or something.
5th
I was
grade, yeah.
in,
I was
I was in like the 1st grade. He's 2 years older than me, so.
Okay.
All right, so 3rd grade. Man, there goes your point. Like, you can't even remember. We're so young.
I was 4, so yeah.
He's in pre-K over here.
There you go. I love it, man. Yeah, and my daughter's 10 right now. So I have a 13-year-old boy and a 10-year-old daughter. We went to dental school. In fact, I think we had dental anatomy that day, and we were supposed to be, trying to figure out the, just like the numbers on the teeth or something. Like it was just something just so basic, and showed up. And that's when 9/11 happened. Actually thought about dropping out of dental school and going into the Marines. I mean, it was a really emotional time for everybody.
Right.
I was engaged at the time, not to my dentist daughter. This was to another woman. Just thought about, okay, well, look, let's think about this for a year. If this is something we really want to do, still having the same feelings, then I'll go ahead and drop out. But then, a year passed. I still wanted to serve somehow. And so I actually joined up in the Air Force as a dentist. Learned a lot of leadership skills, learned a lot about people, just different things I wanted. But it was still, the military, as amazing as it was, still a little too structured for me. That entrepreneurial bug in me just kind of wanted to kind of explore. Didn't have any business background or anything. I literally, when I was getting out of the Air Force, I went to Barnes and Noble when that was still a thing, went and picked up like 10 different books in there and just started reading, just started self-educating. And, it's kind of funny. You asked how, a great question. How do you do it? I think people just overcomplicate things in life way too much. And at the end of the day, business is about people. And if you can find ways to serve people, if you can find ways to make things simple, you can definitely make a successful business. So, just lots of great experiences along the way, lots of cool opportunities. And so it's been a pretty wild ride. And then last year, just the right opportunity presented itself. Had a guy that had been, usually about once a quarter, different private groups were trying to purchase our business. And it was just never the right time, the right opportunity. And last year, the right number came along our way, and it was a cash walkaway offer. And so I took it, and luckily for me, it just happened to be at the right time with everything that happened with COVID this year.
Man. Are you able to talk about that deal? Can we go into that? I mean, we don't have to say any numbers, but like that's something we definitely want to get into.
Yeah. What you ask, and I'll fire away.
It was 8 practices, correct?
Yeah.
That you
It was.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Oh man, because I want to start. We got to go deep with you. We got to go back to dental school.
Yeah.
Right. So, but all right, let's go back to dental school.
Yeah,
first,
let's go to dental
okay.
school.
We'll get there, but that's the exciting stuff. So now going back to dental school, we're all in dental school right now. And we are very forward thinking. We've got a 5, 10, maybe even 25-year vision, right? We're really trying to hone in and see which direction do we want to go to. So for those of us out here in dental school who are trying to get it, just trying to make it out here, what advice would you give to the let's go with D4 Joe, right before you're about to graduate? Looking back right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest advice that I would say to anybody, one quote I definitely like to live by is the most intentional always wins. And the more intentional that you can be with your actions, and the more forward thinking you can be, and in the longer term. Right now in today's culture, it's like, we want everything right now. And I mean, I may have sold out. So I'm 42 right now. I may have sold out, last year. But it wasn't like this was an overnight thing. I mean, this was, 18 years in the making. And so, you guys are planning out 25 years, you're doing these things. I think what people don't understand when they're getting into dentistry, dentistry is an amazing profession. Okay. It's a service business. And, you get into dentistry. I mean, I got into dentistry for, a variety of reasons. I wanted a great job where I could make a lot of money, where I could help a ton of people. I could own my own business. Like I could do a variety of those things. But I think the thing that's often overlooked is as you're planning out, it's very easy to think of just like, a couple steps ahead. So right now being D4s, you got to pass those classes, you got to graduate, you got to get those things, but you got to look at, okay, what is more importantly, for the vision for life. Okay. And when I say vision for life, your business becomes part of your life. And in our profession, unfortunately, what most people actually have is they don't have a business. They have a glorified job. And what I mean by that is you have to set up your business in a way that it makes money without you being there. I don't understand really why people get into this profession and they're like, well, I want to own my own business. I want to do this. Well, is it better to have a boss that's a person, or is it better to have a boss that's your business? Because, a lot of these guys, they go on vacation, they're not making money. The practice shuts down, or, they lose like one or two good employees and their entire business collapses. And so I always wanted, for my vision, to me, it was always about freedom of three things: freedom of time, money, and energy. And so I wanted to create something in our business that gave me all three of those things, because at the end of the day, are you serving your business, or is your business serving your life?
Right.
So, as you're thinking in D4 here, and you're thinking about like these 25-year plans and stuff like that, dentistry is incredibly difficult. I mean, you're either going to be doing the dentistry to making the money, your hygienist is going to be doing dentistry to make the money, or you're going to have associates that work for you, or you're going to have other business opportunities, because the money only comes from those places. And, coming back to what I was saying with freedom of time, money, and energy, how do you create all those things? So you have to be very, very intentional with what your plans are to create all those. And, I sat down literally on I think it was on an IHOP napkin on the back of it, and just like drew up like what it is. I actually have it framed in my upstairs office. My COO, she took that from me, took a picture of it, and she framed it. It was like I think it was like maybe about 7 years into it. And she's like, isn't it weird that your plan that you created has actually come together? And it was really cool seeing that, little stick figure diagram and everything that I'd created literally, 3 years out of dental school. Because, I didn't know what I wanted to do after dental school. I didn't know if I wanted to get into private practice. I did an AAGD with the Air Force that was just amazing. Learned a lot of technical skills and just different things. So it was a great experience along the way.
Right. I want to go into what you were saying there about removing yourself from the equation. So that's kind of like E-Myth Revisited. You ever read that?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's on the bookshelf over here. But all of those, and that's exactly what he's saying. You got, for those of you who don't want to read a book, they have like a 15-minute summary video on YouTube. You can watch that. So
yeah, just get on Audible. It's there. You can listen to yes, Sarah and her pies, things like that. You gotta do it. But no, it's important. I mean, that's the thing. There's, in the E-Myth, they talk about all the different stuff with being the technician, being the manager, being the entrepreneur. And all three of those things are critical. But just because you're good at, a certain craft doesn't necessarily make you good at your business. And again, your business, you have to remove yourself from that. So what I was able to do in our business is, like I wanted all of those things. I mean, dentistry, I was good at dentistry. I wasn't the best by any means. I mean, there's a lot of people that were definitely more clinically skilled than I was. But when you come down to managing and being an entrepreneur, I mean, entrepreneur is about having the vision. Managing is about just understanding people and holding them accountable to your vision and the systems that you set up. I don't think people truly give the communication skills and the, I guess, a genuine empathy for other human beings as much validity as they should. I think they think, oh, I'm a great dentist and I'm gonna do this, but we taught our dentists when I was trying to essentially replicate myself in the business and bring associates. I always focused on three things, and we called it SLC, so for Salt Lake City, but it stood for sales, leadership, and clinical. So there's a heavy focus on your sales ability. There was a heavy focus on your leadership ability. And definitely there was a huge component to your clinical ability. But business is all about that. And it wasn't just focused to the doctors, it was focused to our entire team. And I think with our business, to me, it was more about the development of the person than it ever was the development of the clinician. If you can develop human beings, because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to be on that path to growth. I mean, Apex kind of became this metaphor for life. That was the name of my offices, by the way, was Apex Dental. And it was kind of a metaphor for life. You reach one apex and you go for the next apex, and you just kind of, it's that continual journey of growth for the individual.
Right. That's principles, Ray Dalio. You're on a roll with all these theoretical things, all these books.
Dude, I could show you like all the different books up there, man. We'll have to talk here. I give you a list of all my books that just, it's so important to continue the education process. And, I'm very happy with the success I reached at a young age, older than you guys, of course, but, and there's a lot of people that have done it better than me, but this definitely worked. And I'm pretty comfortable at 42, feeling pretty good right now. So
yeah, I'd say you did pretty well for yourself, selling 8 practices at 42.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty fantastic, if you ask me.
Dr. Mayer, do you miss clinical dentistry, like now that you sold your practices?
Not even a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I tell you what, look, I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed wisdom teeth. Like I enjoyed wisdom teeth. I enjoyed implants. But to be honest with you, no, I don't. And it's not that so I actually got out of clinic in 2015. So I had 4 years of just running the business. To me, this is what set it off for me. It was, I enjoyed people, but again, it came back to the freedom of time, money, and energy. And I remember I was sitting in an operatory. It was probably the 5th or 6th time that I had seen this lady. I was adjusting her occlusion that day. It was like her crown was high. I could never get it right. She was complaining about this, complaining about that. And it was just dumping snow outside. And I'm a huge skier, love it. And I was just staring out at the mountain and I could see up at like Snowbird Ski Resort. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I not up in the mountain? Because at that time I realized like, I really just have a glorified job. Like I've got to do something different. And so I put I had the plan that I'd put together and I just started putting the pieces in place. And I think as dentists, a lot of us are type A personalities. We want to do everything. But when you can take a step back and realize that there's probably other people that can do other things better than you can, bring them into your business and, don't let the ego get in the way of your success. And I think that's what happens way too often in dentistry, unfortunately.
Right. So for people to kind of take over certain jobs that, might be better done by them than yourself, you mentioned earlier that you have a COO, and Cole and I and Matt were talking about COOs before this, before our interview here. So at what point did you kind of realize, okay, let me start creating a C-suite? How do you hire? Did you hire like a COO from like a huge company, or how'd you do that?
No, it was just internal. She was an office manager at another location, and she was an office leader at one of the locations. It wasn't until my 3rd practice when I started thinking about that. It was really on the 4th and 5th when I decided, okay, there's a couple people that we needed. And it wasn't, it was at practice number 3 when I brought on like a marketing director. And so there's a variety of different ways that you can approach it. But I think the thing that's important, because, all of us could sit here and talk for the next, 20 hours about how to run a practice. And there's so many different ways to run it. But I hope the people that are watching this, like if they can get one thing out of it, like I try to keep things super, super simple. And so as you're running your practices and you're starting with one, you know, you got to think of like, okay, what do we have to do here in our practice? So there was this saying that we had in our practice, and it was this: it was market, schedule, treat, collect, refer, repeat. And that's all we focused on. So market, schedule, treat, collect, refer, repeat. So what did we do? So marketing. All right, guys, we've got to find a way to get as many butts in this door and keep them here. So how do we get our message out there to the community that we're the best dental office, you know, in this area? And what happens is people tend to overcomplicate marketing. Marketing is literally just telling people what you do and why you're different. And, you know, we were general dental practice. We had all hours, all locations. It was always about quality and convenience. And, you know, we ran, you know, different flyers. We had a great internal marketing program, but there's only so much that marketing could do. And so, you know, I mean, there's a variety of different things we could talk about marketing, but, you know, it was always get the people in the door. Let's keep them here. Let's get them to, you know, let's provide enough value to them to they want to stay. And I think that's an important point to remember too, is that money follows value. You know, if you want more money, or maybe your bank account's not as high as you want it to be, it's probably because you're not providing enough value in the world. And so that was always important to me, is like, you know, when this person comes into our location, how are we going to make them feel like this is not a dental office? You know, everything that had been out there, what do we do differently? So there was that, you know, marketing. And then there was scheduling. All right, there's got to be a specific way that we schedule them. So marketing only gets people to really like call marketing leads, gets people to call on the phone, but there's got to be a proper way for us to answer the phones. There's got to be a proper way for us to schedule. And so you schedule the patient accordingly. Patient comes in the door, you've got to treat them right. So the treating, a lot of people think treating like, okay, let's drill a hole in their tooth and, you know, plug the hole up. That's like the last thing that you do. I mean, the entire orchestrated process is about how you treat that person when they come into your office. So, I mean, someone come walking into their office, we'd get up, I'd have, you know, shake their hands when you could actually shake hands in this world rather than just like fist bump and, you know, plexiglass or something that we have to do these days. But, you know, walk around, give them a bottle of water, show them around the clinic. It's no different than if somebody came into your home. What would you do? It's not like, hey, sit down, tell me about yourself. Like, let's go on. It's like, hey, let me show you around my house. Like, let me show you what we can do here together. And then, you know, you're there to solve their needs. So the only way that you can solve that is by, you know, interviewing them, finding out about them as human beings, finding out what their wants are, their needs are, and, you know, why they're coming there. So, and forgive me if I'm rambling on. You guys jump in here.
This is great.
This is fantastic.
So I'm kind of looking at this like, okay, this is exactly what you need to do for that first practice and just, you know, a new dentist, right? So yeah.
So here's so new dentist, like literally keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. Don't get all crazy or anything, like, you know, buying 10 different courses and paying thousands and thousands of dollars to all these different, you know, consultants. And I'm kind of an anti-consultant. It drives me crazy, the consulting world, just because I think there's a lot of fluff and a lot of crap out there that just you need to stay away from. It just, and I don't know how, what this program's rated, but if we get talking too much about consultants, you might hear a few words come out of my mouth here or something. But but no, it's, yeah. So there's got to be that process of taking care of that patient. So the market, schedule, you treat them. At the same time, you've got to collect. I don't know when it started in dentistry that we feel like we have to do this stuff for free. I mean, you guys know, being in school, you guys have a shit ton of dental debt, or, you know, of the student debt. Mm-hmm. Unless you're in the military or you've got some deep pockets behind you, debt is a very, very real thing. and it's expensive. And you guys have, busted your butts. You've gone to, done all these classes, done all these courses, all these sleepless nights of studying. There's a lot of value into what you guys have learned and in the education that you're getting, even watching this program right now. And that's valuable, and you should expect to get paid for it. And, for whatever reason, people, they devalue themselves. And if you truly believe that what you're doing is providing value to the patient, you should feel very good about, receiving compensation for it. There's nothing wrong with getting compensated properly for doing a job. And you know what, there's plenty of patients that'll pay for it. The ones that don't want to pay for it, move on to the next patients. Your business is there to serve your community. It's there to serve your life. It's there to serve your employees' life. You have a moral obligation to run a sound, solid business, because if you're not, you can't pay your vendors. You can't give raises to your team. You can't, hey, even buy the things that you want in your personal life. And on top of that, you can't even donate more to your community. It was really cool. We were really good at running our business so efficiently that over 4 years, every year, what we would do is we would run this event called Smiles for Success. And it was for our community. The first year we ran it, it was 1 free cleaning, 1 free extraction, or 1 free filling. And they could just pick. Over the course of 3 years, we did little over $500,000 worth of free dentistry and donated supplies just on those 1 day. So we're talking the matter of let's see, it was over 4 days is what we did it. And so the reason why we were able to do those kind of things is because we ran an efficient business. We collected the money when it was owed to us. And I had just some amazing people that were just so good at that. And so that's, collect for your services.
Right.
And so, market, schedule, treat, collect, and then refer. So how do we turn every patient that comes through our office into an extension of our marketing arm? How do we get them to refer to us? How do we get them to tell their friends and family about us, or maybe post on their social media about us, and literally become that free marketing arm? That is your least expensive, easiest way to grow your practice. Get the word of mouth going. When I first started in some practices, that we were getting maybe 6 to 15 new patients. At the time that we sold, we were getting over, across the practices, we were getting over 500 new patients a month. And a lot of it was because the individual programs that we were doing.
All right. So can you throw me a bone here and give me one of your best internal marketing strategies that you use?
Yeah. So, with internal marketing, it was super easy to do. Number one, I think people, they ask for referrals incorrectly. But we created these VIP programs within our practices. And the VIP, anybody who would refer 3 people to us, we had the annual patient giveaway, and we did some big giveaways. First year we gave away a car. Next year we gave away a $10,000 vacation package. Now here's the beautiful thing. When you have multiple offices, you can do these bigger things. But we did our first patient giveaway with the car when we were at 3 offices.
Wow.
But it was a Kia Soul, and it wasn't. It was 15 grand, so it was five grand a pop, for an office. But the buzz that was generated from that was huge. We rented out a movie theater, and we had people bring a friend with them, and we played games that night, and did all these fun events. But it became part of our internal program, just these big giveaways. And then, we did, let's see, the last year that we did it, we did pay your mortgage for a year.
Oh,
and
wow.
so,
Awesome.
and so it was $1,000 a month for 10 straight months. So it was literally just, individual things there. But people would give us, they'd give us referrals all day long to get invited to those events. It was really, really, really kind of cool. So patient events.
Right. You said it was just, $1,000 a month for 10 straight months, but to that patient, I mean, that's everything. That's 10 months of their mortgage that you took off their back.
Right. Well, first of all, that's like marketing. Just the fact that you're giving away a car, that's like nobody does that, you know? So that's a piece of marketing in itself. But so you charge that to your marketing budget? Is that how you did it?
Yeah. Just right. I mean, it was an expense that we wrote off, you know, I mean, it wasn't.
What was your percentage of your overhead that you allotted to marketing?
So now that's a great question. You know, and that's a discussion that we can get into here. It totally depends on what you want to do with your practice. At any given time, we were in the 5 to 10%, you know, of our budget. A lot of people will say 3% or less. You know, we would put at a minimum 5%. If I was going 10%, it's because we had just acquired a new practice or I just started a new practice. Of those 8 practices that I had, 2 of them were orthodontics practices, and the other 6 were general dental. I had started, let's see, there was 1 general dental, and then both orthos were started from scratch. Mm-hmm. And then the orthos were individually. But when we needed to grow a little bit more, or we needed to run maybe a different program, we would bump that marketing budget up. If I was bringing on new associates, if I knew that we were going to be acquiring a new practice, I would bump it up. And again, it just depended. But then when we were smooth running there for a little while, we would drop the marketing budget down. So we were constantly adapting to the environment. But, you know, the guys that go out and say, oh, you know, I'm going to spend like 3% of my, you know, budget. All right, great. You know, you're going to probably see this with your practice, like a slow growth. But I really wanted to get things moving quickly, just because that's kind of the way my brain works, and it paid off.
Right. And I was listening to, are you familiar with Tim McNamara or McNamara?
No.
Okay, so he was explaining today that so basically with marketing, that's the one KPI that you watch that is totally different than the others with regards to ROI. So you compare your marketing to your top line rather than your bottom line, to your overall revenue rather than, you know, what you're profiting. So, and for that reason, it's because like, let's say you put in $1,000 into marketing and you get back $2,000. Like you could do that all day. That might not be the case with, you know, some dental material, some composite or something. That was the way that I understood it from him. And I thought that was a very unique perspective.
You know, it's not a bad way of looking at it. And again, but I mean, to me, that's not really that valuable. And the reason why I say that is when I look at marketing, this is what I wanted to know. If I'm going to give you $1, okay, I want $10 in return for my marketing. I wanted a 10x, okay, and I wanted the patient acquisition cost to remain down. So if I had a set budget, okay, so let's say we had a set budget of, you know, $5,000. Okay, and let's make it easy. Let's say, you know, $1,500, because I expected my marketing director to deliver a patient to me for an acquisition cost of $150 or less. Okay, and that's very doable in our market. Now that's going to vary per market, and so I'd mentioned earlier about data-driven decisions. Business is so critical about knowing your numbers. I knew every single number in our practice like the back of my hand. I mean, it was like, okay, you know, what is it that we need to spend so we can acquire this? Because so then that way, if I wanted to grow by 50 patients, I knew how much money I had to spend to get to there. But I also wanted to know what those 50 patients were going to bring me. So in our individual locations, I knew that if we gave this doctor 10 patients, he was going to produce this much dollars. Now that was data that was gathered over time, but I knew in one practice, this one guy, he was always producing right around $2,000 per new patient. So if we gave him 30 new patients that month, he was going to produce about $60,000. I mean, and he was always within $5,000 or $10,000 on either swing of the things. So you have to take that money and know, okay, if I spend this much dollars, how many patients can I realistically expect? Mm-hmm. And more importantly, how many dollars are those patients going to bring into our practice? And so you do that by literally taking, and coming back to what you'd said, your collections divided by your number of new patients, what did that bring you? So, if it's so hard to, it's easy to say, hey, go spend $1,000. That's going to bring you 2,000. Well, how the hell do you track that?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it was just an example.
yeah, no, and that's fine. And that's okay. But, and again, not saying that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but it's kind of poorly explained, because it's like, well, they have these marketing agencies, or you have these marketing dollars. Like, if you go and spend $2,000 on a mailer, how many patients should you realistically expect to get out of that? And if a marketing agency can't tell you that, you're probably working with the wrong marketing agency.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. You also got to look at, and one thing that I think we did really, really well at Apex is there was an extreme amount of accountability that we had. If the phone was ringing and we didn't convert that patient, that was on us. That was our issue. That was the way that we closed that sell on the phone. That wasn't the marketing agency's fault, or that wasn't my marketing director's fault. It was, can we actually convince this person to now come into our office?
Right.
And I think, coming back to like this whole like premise of like, what it is like that people should be focusing on. To me, it's so much about like, how do we improve ourselves? How do we grow ourselves? How do we hold ourselves more accountable? So as us as a team, we can grow this entire, one office to the next office, and repeat what we did, and repeat what we did, and repeat what we did, and go on from there. And so that takes an enormous amount of self-reflection. It takes an enormous amount of self-accountability, and it just takes an incredible team along the way to help you do that.
Right. And I think, so just to jump back for a minute, Dr. Joe, we talked about, you have these great marketing strategies and this whole slew of plans, while you had everything in place, and you kind of found it along the way. And you talked about earlier, we talked about, you had a great napkin that you wrote down that you even framed about, framing your practice and how exactly you wanted to execute everything. You were able to do that, which is amazing. So, you spent 8 years in the Air Force, right? So can you kind of walk us through, so you did your 1-year AEGD residency, and then after the Air Force, so what was your first step then? So we talked about school, we talked Air Force. So like, what was your first step then in making these 8 offices possible?
I mean, we got so carried away here.
Yeah, no, that's okay, man. And I ramble on, forgive me for that.
Oh,
but
it's great. We're learning so much from you. But
yeah,
Dr.
Honestly, it was super easy. I came back home out of being active duty, and I pulled up a list of jobs that was needing dentists, and I was an associate for a year. I went to a practice, worked for this guy. He paid me a percentage on production, and I just busted my butt for that year, just trying to make money and get a house for me and my family. Like, it wasn't. And I had looked at buying that practice. The dentist had wanted to sell it to me, but the numbers, I could just never make sense of the numbers. Like, what he was asking for it just didn't make sense. And so started looking for other places to work as an associate. Actually found he ended up being my business partner through this whole process. Another guy, found him through a Patterson rep, and went in and met him. Super interesting story. I'll have to tell you about another time. But, met him and talked to, just kind of said, hey, this is kind of what I want to do. What do you think? And he's like, yeah, why don't you come work for me? And, in 6 months, if you're, if things are working out, then we'll do this whole process. So he actually he had just started another practice, and he had this other crappy practice that these associates were just destroying. But the thing that was really interesting is the practice that he had that the associates were destroying, the numbers were amazing. They had all the recipe for success. And so I just said to him, I said, hey, instead of dumping that other practice, why don't you let me work that practice? You stay working this one. And then if you like what you see in 6 months, let's join forces, and we'll, here's my napkin. Let's go on this adventure together.
Right.
So he actually, his name was John, just a fantastic human being. Partnerships can definitely work. People that say that they don't work. Our whole vision that we had was, we were going to do the comfort dental model. We were going to do, the 4 dentists in each practice. I don't know if you guys have studied much of that. But it was a repeatable thing. what I found though is when we hired like one of our first associates is everybody wants the benefits of ownership, but they don't want the bad sides of ownership. You know, everybody wants to be an owner until you tell them what they have to do to be an owner, like a real owner, you know. No, what they want when they say they want to be an owner is they want more profits. Okay, well, if you want more profits, you also have to be okay with there not being the money in the checkbook or in the bank account, and what are you going to do to replenish it? And so it was John and I, we owned all 8 practices together, just the two of us. We owned them 50-50, and we had one associate that owned 25% of one practice, and then the rest were W-2 employees. Okay. And so we ended up, I think at one time, we ended up having like 13 associates is what it was among the 8 practices. But we had just an awesome team. So that's a very, very quick thing from how we grew from 1 to 8, basically.
Right. But you said, so you said you built one of the orthos from the ground up and then ended up acquiring the other one. So obviously, you said the rest of them, the 6 were general dentistry. So, kind of how does that work? So did you build the first ortho first or acquire the ortho practice?
No. So what we actually did is so at the time I had 5 general dental I had 3 general dental practices. And we had an orthodontist that was coming into our practice doing ortho for us. And as we started to grow the ortho department, he was just getting in the way of the general dentist. It was taking up too much space. And we were building a new building at the time. We were building, we had gone from 5 operatories. We were going to essentially what ended up being a 15 operatory building, but it was 2 separate businesses. So we had 8 on the general dental side and 8 on the general dental side. And then we had 6 ortho chairs with 3 consult rooms. So we were just growing the ortho too much and the general dental was growing. I'm just like, why do we just not have an ortho practice in here? Let's, cause they're completely different models. You cannot run a general dental model the same way that you run an ortho model. Ortho is super high volume, super fast pace. It's the setup's different. And, we just kind of learned from our own mistakes along the way. So I did that. And then there was another ortho practice up by one of our other general dental clinics that became available. And so we ended up acquiring that one. It's funny, like as you start to become available in your community and as you start to get on the radar, practices start to present themselves to you. And people want to join the network. They want to see the growth and they want to, they want the headaches and the stress taken off of them. And so you form a good enough reputation in the community, you certainly provide those opportunities.
Right. And go ahead, Seth.
So, one of the things I just want to bring up is, how did you keep going into the next practice? So first of all, how are you able to secure the bank loans? Did they just look at your total equity and just all your assets and just look at that? Or how did that work?
Yeah, banks suck. I'm going to tell you that right now. I tell you what, they want everything and anything tied up. Now, here's the thing. You either have to use a bank loan, which is probably the best and easiest thing because, you're going to pay them back money with a percentage of, on top of it. That's how bank loans work. And they're going to want to tie up your house. They're going to want to tie up your cars. They're going to want to hold everything. And honestly, that never mattered to me. It's either that or you bring in partners that have money. And if you want to spread out the risk a little bit more, you can bring in partners. I always looked at partnerships of 2 things. You either bring money or knowledge, and preferably both. Now, banks, you're forming a partnership with them, right? So they're bringing the money and they're expecting a return on their money. And so I literally, at that time, is just like, hey, here's where I'm at with my personal debt. Here's where I'm at with our, production numbers. And banks, it's a numbers game to them. Can you pay back the loan? And if you can pay back the loan, in addition to all your personal loans and student loans and everything like that, they're going to give you the money.
Right.
And so they may want to see you go out and, build your speed a little bit. Cause they looked at my production numbers. They didn't look at my collection numbers, cause that was different. They looked at the tax returns for the business, and it's like, okay, can we afford to give this guy the money? And they did, so, I went to Bank of America. I used Bank of America for every single one of my practices. I actually self-funded 3 of them, as we were growing.
Yeah.
I took money from one practice, and, as we were being profitable there, and just use the money there. So it was nice on that side, because I didn't have to go to the bank to get the money. And as you grow and as you get bigger, you can do those kind of things.
Right. So Dr. Joe, you probably see me here. I've got all these Post-it notes now just filled with questions. So we could go on forever, but I just want to say, like, this has been an awesome conversation. We definitely need to go even deeper next time. We'll get into the marketing. We'll get into exactly how did you go through each one of the practices, and when is it time to get to the next practice? And then of course I want to talk about that final sale there and how that was structured. All that stuff is awesome. Love all that. So if you don't mind, would you tell our listeners how they can contact you, your new exciting stuff coming up, and any Instagram, Facebook, any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So, the easiest way to contact me, if you want to find out more about me, you can just go to my website. It's called thedocsedge.com. So just thedocsedge.com. It's super easy. And then you can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Just my name, super easy, just Joe Maio. My Instagram handle is joe.mayo. All my contact information's on that website. That's actually where I have on there is the dental 1-week MBA course. And, you and I have talked about that a little bit. The one thing that you'll get as a dental student is you're going to get everybody in this world that's going to be able to tell you what you're supposed to do with your money. Okay. And at the end of the day, only you know what you're supposed to do with your money. When I got out of practice, I had no dreams of being a consultant. I had no dreams of doing any of that. In fact, I've actually got several other business adventures that I'm involved in that have nothing to do with dentistry, that are just kind of fun. But I wanted to give something to our profession that actually provided real tangible value. And it didn't have to be expensive. It's just literally the nuts and bolts. What does it take to properly run your dental practice? And so I created that 1-week dental MBA course. And in fact, with the great thing about it is the course is super inexpensive. And, most of the people that are listening to it right now, I think the normal price of the course is $699, $700. You get 12 hours of CE. If any of your listeners want to do it, they're dental students, throw in the code DSV50, and that'll get them to them for 50% off. So they can get it for $349. Honestly, if they end up going on and buying the course, they're not happy with it, I'll give them their money back 100% guaranteed. The thing is right now is you guys have so much to learn, in your dental school. I have a ton of dental students that have bought that course. I have a lot of associates, because it is that roadmap. How do you set up your marketing? How do you set up your operations? How do you set up, your internal systems? How do you set up businesses within your business? And honestly, within the first 3 months, the people that have actually taken this and implemented it, they're seeing their practices explode 10 times, 100 times. It's pretty simple, easy thing. And, you don't need to pay a consultant tens of thousands of dollars to hold their hand. You don't need it. Don't pay for that. I literally, I formulated this course to, cover the production costs. Guys, I don't need the money. I really don't. It's not, here's a course for you. This is what you need to know. Stop listening to all the other bullshit that's out there and make it easy on yourself, and just literally make it easy on yourself. And that's, you can contact me there. You can message me on Facebook, whatever's the easiest way. So contact these guys. They've got my number. If they're nice enough, they can give it to you guys, whatever. But I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Yeah. And I mean, Dr. Joe, you follow him, and you see. I was looking at your story yesterday. You're in the middle of the mountains biking and stuff. Like, but a couple of days ago, but that was wild. You're on the side of the mountain, and it's at night, and you like.
Oh, is that when I crashed? Yeah. I don't. Is that one? Probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not something that I'm going to put on my highlight reel. I was actually up chasing some elk that night. I was just chasing around, seeing like what they were doing, and I was coming back on my bike, and then I came around this corner, and there was a deer that was sitting in the middle of the trail, and I slammed on the brakes, went over my handlebar. Landed right in some horse crap. That was awesome. Yeah, that was a fun.
He's on his ATV right here. My God.
Oh,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of dogs do you have?
That's what I'm saying. You know what's cool is because I actually have an outdoor nutrition company right now that we're just getting started. That's what running a good business will allow you to do. It allows you that freedom and that time and money and energy to go do the things that you want to do. So I love spending time with my kids. I mean, for the last 6 months, I've been a stay-at-home parent. I'll go up and, take my kids up somewhere. We'll go up to the condo up there at Solitude. Because, man, there are so many more things important in life than being a slave to your business. And I hope that course enables people to have that freedom more than anything, because that's what it did for me. I literally took all the different things I learned from great mentors along the way, School of Hard Knocks, and just, what's the best things from each thing, and how can we make this, a tangible learning experience for people. And
love it. All right, well, we can leave it at that. Dr. Joe, until next time, bye bye.
I'll do it again, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, that'll do it for another episode of the Dental Student Vibes podcast. That was Dr. Joe Maio teaching us everything we need to know about managing multi-practices in a successful DDSO type model. So, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns for Dr. Joe Maio, hit us up. We'll direct them directly to him, and we'll have him answer them, and we'll get those out to you. As always, stay safe and bye-bye.